Shalom, Shalom, and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening, set-apart nation. Before I get started, I want to say that the views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, and/or shareholders of this media platform. With that said, there's a couple of things I want to get out the way before I get into this segment, my brothers and sisters. So I ask for your patience. One is, I did a recording where I talked about a contradicting camp saying Yahuah, and was saying that Yahuah is wicked, or the YHWH, and the correction on that. I use the name Yahuah because my cup runneth over when I call upon Yahuah in the name of his word Yahusha, whom I believe is the word of Yahuah manifest before us, that walked physically among us, whose spirit the Almighty Father sent in Yahusha's name to reflect his word, the word of Yahuah. Yahuah being spirit everywhere at all times, and this word that communicated with us came in the name of Yahusha. So when we say Yahusha, we represent his word. And when it says son of Yahuah, because Yahuah is his word as it was manifest before us physically and spiritually. And I think, and I believe, and I'm compelled to believe that in the coming days ahead, we will understand that. But my point is asking your forgiveness, because the message where I said Yahuah, that particular camp says, and those that follow that camp's position on the name of the Almighty Father say Ahaya. I'm not compelled to use that. And when people talk about the different names of the Almighty Father, I look and examine, and if I see major flaws, major rifts in their messages that contradict Scripture, that contradict their own preachings, I cannot find myself possibly thinking to come to that solution. So I use Yahuah. But I want to say, forgive me in terms of saying Yahuah. No, it's those that say, I said in that message, Yahuah, and I meant Ahaya. I know that seems confusion, but ask me if you have questions about that. But as for me in my house, I am compelled to use Yahuah and Yahusha, representing he who is the Almighty One. Secondly, I want to tell you a story about something that occurred with a YouTuber weeks ago, and I think it's relative to this segment. There was a particular individual, YouTube creator, who was trying to encourage or present his position when it came to cryptocurrency and digital wallet. And I reached out to this individual and informed him that he should let people know that all it is data, because he did not emphasize that. It appeared to me that he was steering his followers towards getting a digital wallet on a USB drive or possibly getting some cryptocurrency, because he figured he was getting away from fiat money. Fiat money is money that's not backed by anything. It's just produced under certain guidelines that are laid out by the Federal Reserve. That's fiat money. It does not have anything that really backs it. The U.S. uses fiat money, and mainly what backs it is the military might and the way the economy is managed. Okay, with that said, my point is this. I reached out to that individual and was telling him that he should emphasize that cryptocurrency is just data manipulated and secured by various algorithms. But no, this brother wanted to be combative. And so since he could not receive what I was saying to him and recommending to him, I told him that the fruit of his actions will visit him in his household. He immediately took that as I'm cursing his family. And what I want you to know is this, brothers and sisters. If we're saying and doing things, shouldn't we want the fruit of our actions to visit us? If we doing good and treat others as we want them to treat us, shouldn't we expect that good or similar to come back to us? So he immediately went on line saying that, yeah, this brother want to curse me and my family. And my words was that the fruit of his actions will visit him to bring him to a point where he would say either hallelujah, if what he's saying is right, or if he's doing wrong, where he would repent and be renewed. But sometimes when you're texting people, the emotion of the text, the full meaning of what you're saying to that person can be misconstrued or misunderstood based on that person's comprehension of the text. I knew that then, and I even invited the brother to talk to him, to have a verbal, audible conversation with him. And he deflected and said, oh, now you want to hide, and now you... Anyway, he was very combative. But the scriptures explain such behavior. My point in bringing this story up before I get into this segment is he was one of those that was pushing digital wallet and cryptocurrency, thinking that it's superior to fiat money. And all cryptocurrency is data stored under specific constraints and algorithms with a value added to it. It's not that much more different than the dollar fiat money, although the world would have you believe it's much different. With that said, my brothers and sisters, I just want you I felt compelled to present these two things to you because that was something that was important. The first story, when I said Yahuah, that camp says Ahaya. I say Yahuah. Now, many people will say, it doesn't matter. We're all Israelites. But whatever fills my cup and causes it to overflow consistently with the word that is made alive, that's where I stand my ground. If for some reason I started dying of thirst and hunger in righteousness, if some reason I saw a major flaw in calling on the Almighty Yahuah in the name of Yahusha, then I would consider maybe I've made a mistake. But that's not the case. Those who push that are stumbling and falling and contradicting themselves. The second story I presented, and I know I'm being redundant, was the fact that this person wanted people to think that cryptocurrency or a digital wallet was far superior than fiat money, which have software algorithms to measure the economy and to regulate its usage. Now, with all of that said, I thank you for your patience. This will make sense to some. Let us now get into this segment. This segment, my brothers and sisters, is called an AI perspective. AI meaning artificial intelligence, a perspective on that. And it is important, Yashar'al, to realize that in these last days, I am aware that confusion and anxieties are increasing for various reasons. And I believe that comfort comes in understanding, and understanding comes from knowing in the wisdom that the Almighty Father gives. I am not an expert on AI, but I personally, during this infancy stage over 2 decades ago, actually almost 3 decades ago, in its infancy stage, I actually was involved with a class talking about some of the rudiments that leads to what we see marketed as AI. And I'll talk about that more in this segment. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. The goal of this message is to bring a degree of understanding and comfort regarding AI. Understanding and comfort. So let me read some passages to you, and I want you to seek the life in them and to trust and believe that the Almighty Father will indeed bring understanding as much as we need to press forward in growing in set apartness. Proverbs chapter 2, excuse me, Proverbs chapter 2, verse 2 through 5, I will read in a moment. It says, so that you make your ear attend to wisdom and incline your heart to understanding. For if you cry for discernment, lift up your voice for understanding. And if you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then you would understand the fear of Yahuah and find the knowledge of the Almighty One. I want to emphasize that it is with Yahuah that we find understanding and knowledge, not AI, as one would think. John 15, 26 and 27. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. It says, and when the helper, now some translations will say comforter, comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth, who comes from the Father, he shall bear witness of me. But you also bear witness of me because you have been with me from the beginning. The literal here is an example of Yahusha talking to his taught ones. The spiritual goes beyond just the taught ones that was with him, and it spills over to us, we who are his set-apart children. But the helper, the Spirit, it is the Spirit of truth that will bring comfort and understanding. AI is not the Spirit of truth, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to talk about this even more. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 and 4 says, blessed be the Almighty One and Father of our Master, Yahusha Messiah, the Father of compassion and Almighty One of all comfort, who is comforting us in all pressure, enabling us to comfort those who are in every pressure through the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by the Almighty One. Comfort. You might wonder, what does that have to do with AI? There's some things that will result as AI becomes more widespread, that if a person did not understand it, they would be worried and fearful. I'm going to talk about it even more. I know your time is valuable, so I'm going to try to go through this without being too redundant. But I want to present some words that I believe are connected to AI. For I believe AI is indeed an algorithm that manipulates data for various reasons, for the betterment of productivity and efficiency from a natural and practical perspective. And since it is data related, I want to just introduce some terms, letting you know that this is something that is fabricated by man. And if man is fabricating, just we as men and women, just as we are attacked in the flesh war against the spirit, so is the flesh, the results of the brain and intellect will war against our spirit. Therefore, AI is the product of a man or men or women and it will war against our spirit. But here are some things to let you know that it's not some sentient being that some people have been seduced to believe in because of the marketing ploy of Hollywood and other media sources. Let me present some terms, and all of these are rudiments and factors that are entangled in this web of what they're calling artificial intelligence. And the key word is artificial. It's fabricated, my brothers and sisters. Here are the words: bits and bytes. You've probably heard of that. Code or coding. You've heard of that. Software, computer software, is the algorithms, the programs, the apps that are used. Back in the day, my brothers and sisters, as I stated, for nearly over 3 decades, I had an opportunity to be involved with being exposed to the development of an application that utilizes algorithms that are or were the infancy algorithms to artificial intelligence. And it was called, back then, decision support systems. It was algorithms that can help assist one with evaluating matters from a software perspective to narrow down what's the most efficient decisions that could be made. And I won't go into all the details of how that worked, but that was the term, decision support systems. Look that up if you're just curious. But my main purpose in here is to bring enlightenment that it's not some sentient being. It is a product of software algorithms, manipulation of data, central bank digital currencies. Digital currencies is all data and information. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, even with the use of fiat money, not many banks physically have a lot of cash in it. They have a certain amount in the different branches, but it is all managed and manipulated through data streams. There's a human factor because this data must be managed. The hardware that is used to cause this data to flow must be kept up to date. In the past, my brothers and sisters, and I believe even today, that software and algorithms are outpacing its progressive stages quicker than the hardware can be utilized to bring it to a more cost-effective position. But that's gradually changing. That gap between software and hardware is gradually changing. Some other terms, blockchains and tokens. These are old terms, but they are part of the rudiments to artificial intelligence. Algorithms, timing, quantity, volume. Hardware, cryptocurrencies is more so digital algorithms and data, massaged and protected, compartmentalized. The whole FedNow platform that is rolling out as I speak in the month of July, there are other platforms similar to that in other nations under different names. And then I put the word intersections. You see, my brothers and sisters, you cannot have all these different things occurring and not recognize that they intersect. They connect in some way, shape, or form. Artificial intelligence requires energy. Let me present some words that relate to energy. There is some energy or electricity produced by coal. There is some energy produced by water turbines, hydro energy. There's solar energy, nuclear energy, chemical energy by mixing specific chemicals can cause a chain reaction. And then there's the mixed and the hybrid. Now you might say, well, what does this all have to do with anything? You cannot have AI without someone writing its algorithm. And some will say it can write its own algorithm. AI can do this. It can do that. It's primed, my brothers and sisters. Everything has a beginning and an end. It is important to always know that the Almighty Yahuah is the beginning and the end. He is the Aleph and the Tav. Nothing predates the Almighty Father. He is the beginning and the end. So when it comes to AI, it's stuff, it's data, it's software, it's algorithms that must glide or move along platforms of hardware. Even the very electronic or signals sent wirelessly, that's an energy source, and it has its beginnings. So do not believe it can create its own energy source to the point where it can create its own beginnings. What it can do is replicate sub-programs, subsets that seems like it's creating, but it's not creating. It's reflecting based off of the content that was put into its algorithm. My brothers and sisters, the AI initiatives are an attempt to consolidate things into one functioning unit. A one world government is an attempt to upstage the plan of the Almighty Yahuah. You see, my brothers and sisters, when we read that we are many members with different functions, all under one body, united by the Almighty Father's word, Yahusha, this is the plan of Yahuah, to bring together his children, to make us whole and as one. Before the physical return of Yahushua Mashiach, much will be done. The one world government that will be hosted by the anti-Mashiach and false prophet, two witnesses, where there are two or more witnesses, let a matter be established, is scriptural. So therefore we see the mimic, the replication or attempt to replicate or clone the pattern and strategy that the Almighty Father has laid out for his children. With AI, my brothers and sisters, we will discover that it is manipulating man and influencing man to what would be perceived by those that are not part of the set-apart family of Yahuah, will be seduced into believing that it's bringing efficiency to the government for the betterment and the survival of the human race in the wake of climate change, in the wake of a dying planet, in the wake of a loss of hundreds of thousands of jobs. But I'll talk about that a little bit more. Stay with me, my brothers and sisters, and please, I pray, if you are not sure what I'm saying, in the comments, ask me a question and I will respond, for others may have your same questions. Again, the purpose of this message is to bring a degree of comfort, to let you know that AI is indeed that artificial. It is the product of man. Its origins have deep-seated fruits that are from men who are focusing on the practical. Does that mean we don't have any brothers and sisters working with AI? No. They're programmers. I'm not going to say all programmers are wicked. They just may not see to what it will be growing to be. So a programmer can program or be a contributor to the platform of AI, different AI models, to bring about efficiency from a natural and practical perspective. Just as long as that programmer is not trying to make you think that AI is alive. If they bring in deceit, anyone who's trying to make you think it's a sentient entity, that it is actually alive, then the question would be, tell them or challenge them to describe what being alive is. Being alive may be that it can function with a degree of independency. Okay, I buy that. But I will tell you, it does not have a spirit as of those who are set apart and made one by Yahusha HaMashiach. Come, allow me to point to these words, my brothers and sisters. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 11 and 12. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 11 and 12. It says, and they shall by no means teach each one his neighbor, and each one his brother, saying, know Yahuwah, because they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. Because I shall forgive their unrighteousness, in their sins, in their lawlessness, I shall no longer remember. He's describing the effects of the atoning blood of Yahusha. He's describing how we will be taught by the Spirit of Yahuwah that comes to us in its word's name, Yahusha. My brothers and sisters, the strong marketing tools used to prop up AI is shaping our perception. Keep these words in mind as we are developed and set apartness. Think about these words in spite of those who may not know about AI or are unlearned or have been seduced and led to believing that this is some phenomenal sentient being. Let me read to you Romans 12, 1 through 5, my brothers and sisters. It says, I call upon you, Romans 12, 1 through 5. I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable worship. Do not be conformed to this world. In other words, don't let AI shape you into being a servant to AI, which is basically the product of man's software abilities. Do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. In other words, the comfort, the wisdom, the knowledge that the Almighty Father will bring a renewal to our mind so that we prove what is good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. For I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should, but to think soberly as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we the many are one body in Messiah, and members each one to another. My brothers and sisters, we will grow to understand the dynamics of the many members in this body. And I say, just as there are many members in this body, we see the replication of AI with many cogs, many functioning pieces, from hardware to software. There are brothers and sisters that want to lift themselves up to make you think that they really know IT and AI and algorithms. And they'll just say, oh yeah, I'm in IT. And I say to you, my brothers and sisters, if someone is trying to prop themselves up to make themselves appear to be more highly than they are, ask them the question, what do they mean by IT? Are they talking about setting up the networks in the hardware? Are they talking about writing programs? And if so, is it programmed for just a bank, just a steel mill, just the auto industry? What is their contribution when they say they're in IT or they know IT? I've seen some sling the different softwares. Let me say this, Yashar'al. Just as the Almighty Father tore down what is known as the Tower of Babel, and there were many languages, this is what we see with computer software. There are many different languages and applications, many different algorithms. But just as the Almighty Father scattered Yashar'al and said he would gather Yashar'al as one, the algorithms that are scattered and competing, whether it be Elon Musk coordinating initiatives in his AI, or whether it be Bill Gates coordinating his initiative with AI, or whether it be Google, or whether it be another. All of this data as being scattered, all of this data must be able to communicate to bring about that one world government. So the competition right now is for the algorithms to be to prove that it is more superior than the other. Let me give you something to reflect on. Imagine a room with 1,000 people, my brothers and sisters. 1,000 people trying to come to an agreement on a matter. First of all, with communications, it's a matter of talking apples to apples or oranges to oranges, being on the same page, using different names and algorithms that have their origins from somebody giving it a name. If, like, for instance, if you thought of this algorithm, we'll call it the John Doe algorithm, or we'll give it an acronym. So with this 1,000 of people all trying to convey and influence a subject matter to where they all can agree, what AI does is it removes the redundancies. It removes the person saying the same thing over and over again. It finds the intersections. It finds the linkage in the conversations, and it produces a pointer saying this is the common denominator. This is the intersection. Now, you might say, well, what is he talking about? Well, just as Yahuah is going to bring his children together as one, when you remove the emotions and look at the facts, when you remove the redundancies, you get an end product. And this is what's going to happen with the one world government. An end product that will be governed by two decision makers, the anti-Mashiach and the false prophet. Much of what we read, my brothers and sisters, we tend to ignore the life and understanding provided by the Spirit of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name. When we ignore that it is indeed the living Almighty One that brings understanding and wisdom and knowledge, when we take for granted and we think it's all up here in our brains, not realizing that that brain is a part of the flesh, that brain is an organ within this earthen vessel that can be programmed from a natural and practical perspective. In other words, however we've been raised, whatever environment we've grown up in, have affected how we act to one another in more ways than we realize. But deep within, there is a spiritual influence. It's either wicked or set apart from Yahuah. And the two battle against one another. And our spirit, we who are the children of Yahuah, are joined with Yahuah's spirit through Yahusha, through his word. And that which is wicked attacks. The front that they use in attack is the brain. So we must realize that beyond that flesh, there is the inward man. That flesh being the outward man. Beyond AI, there is a man, or men, or women, or a team. And beyond them is a spirit that drives them. Like I said, it could be some brothers contributing to the production of AI to the point of efficiency and to the point of contributing towards slowing down the things that are destroying this planet. Pray, O Yashar'al. More than anything, again, the message is to bring a degree of comfort and let you know that AI is indeed fabrication, a product of man. I submit to you, AI is an absence of emotions. So keep in mind, O Yashar'al, the last days, one of the terms that are used in describing the last days, that this is the beginning of birth pains. Birth pains. Meaning that something else will rise beyond the tribulation. When it comes to AI, my brothers and sisters, the use of it will bring about to you and I some degree of emotional challenges because jobs will be lost. The more efficient companies come, jobs will be eliminated. The fruit of the wickedness of the world is that young people, we were not taught the value of having diverse income streams to assure our sustainability from a practical and natural perspective. The different classes, the different leadership manipulated the education on producing currency in a way that ensured our sustainability. So in order to calm the pain of those who do not see that these are end times, these are the things we're witnessing are a part of the plan of the Almighty Father. For those who don't understand that, my brothers and sisters, it's going to be more difficult to adapt and adjust to the changes that are occurring. To you who are set apart, trust and believe the Almighty Father will give us knowledge and wisdom. To those who are outside of learning and discerning what the Almighty Father has to say about this changing environment from an economic to a social to a civil perspective, for those who do not really know, the plans are set forth in motion that uses statements like, you'll own nothing and be happy. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. In other words, that's a statement to quote unquote reduce or calm your fears from man's perspective. I say to you, comfort and understanding will come from the Almighty Father. Pray, trust, and believe, my brothers and sisters. And as I stated, AI is an attempt to bring the most efficient methods for getting things accomplished for the betterment of man, so to speak. Many redundancies are removed along with emotions. It measures facts as the algorithm is set up. It gauges those facts. It finds the intersections. It narrows them down. You see, instead of wasting time on whether it's called a tomato or tomato, the agreement, the intersection is that it is something that can be eaten and something that can be grown. It doesn't really matter whether you call it tomato or tomato. You can describe the facts. How does it come to be? What are its benefits? And are there alternatives? That's the same thing, my brothers and sisters. What AI is doing is reducing that 1,000 people arguing and trying to figure out what's the best thing to do and finding that common intersection without flaw. But it will never, the algorithms will never find it without flaw, because the algorithm hungers for betterment. And original thought, the brain, the human brain, believe it or not, is superior because it feeds it. And even though it may want to say it want to be autonomous, it cannot be. And it cannot be, one, it goes back to the spirit that is driving it. And I'm not trying to steer you into studying AI. I merely want to bring to light that it is indeed a product of man, something fabricated by man. And yes, I'm saying this strongly, my brothers, again. Remember, the one world government will use AI for consolidating thoughts and belief. Right now, each of us have experienced on more than one occasion, whether we use our phone, our computers, our tablets, that if we talk about a matter, if we talk about a thing, if we express an interest, that data is collected, and you'll see those ads pop up to influence impulsive reactions. So I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, as the data is collected, if you search, you should not have to search far to see that in this current age, we are evolving to where data is the new oil. And even in that transition, we see the rise of a group of nations who want to present a currency that they believe would be superior to the US dollar. And I say to you, my brothers and sisters, all these are elements, are like the Model T to a one world governance using a currency which would basically be data ordered and manipulated by a one world government, which will end up with two leaders, the anti-Mashiach or anti-Messiah and false prophet. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. These all mimic what is happening to Yashar'al. The difference is the road to those dynamics will lead to spiritual death. The way and life that the Almighty Father Yahuah presents through his word Yahusha leads to life everlasting. Pray, O Yashar'al, and seek to discern. Be prepared to adapt. Be prepared to lose your jobs. Many of us will. I strongly encourage you, my brothers and sisters, to start having discussions about coming closer together, identifying the many functions within the body of Mashiach as the set-apart children of Yahuwah. Literally start moving closer to one another. And we will begin to see a track, a pathway of small groups growing to larger groups, And we will soon see the culmination, the coming together of 144,000 rising up, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Yashar'al, as mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter. We will soon see the great multitude start to come together of many nations, kindreds, and tongues, as mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter. Yes, my brothers and sisters, we are in these last days, the end of the age, where we must come and we will come. Those who are obedient to the Almighty Father will grow to understand, demonstrate the wisdom and the comfort to press on, for soon we will see the physical return of our Mashiach Yahusha. We will witness how from seed to harvest there are attempts to mimic Yahuwah's life cycle. And we will recognize how we started out as one, and in our rebellion we were scattered as our punishment. And we will see being gathered. Now we await that final exodus. We await that gathering. And we will see the actions of men and man from competition, trying to be or prove that they're more superior. One group or one person is more superior than the other. One software is more superior than another, and their competition and competing with one another, being scattered. We will see them come into an agreement. And ultimately, it will prove that there's only two sides, nothing in the middle. There's either wickedness or set apartness, O Yashar'al. And when it comes down to the final world, one world government, it will be the one world government with the anti-Messiah and false prophet against the set-apart children of Yahuah. And I believe the last two shepherds before the physical return of Yahuah will be the two witnesses of Revelation that will establish the matter, or should I say matters, that puts the seal of unity to a set-apart awakening nation. And at the very end, the anti-Mashiach will come to the camp where the temple, the living house of Yahuah collectively would be those he gathered from the four corners of the earth. And he will try to deceive and make us think that he's the person we're waiting on. And Yahusha will physically return and stop him in his tracks in an instant. So there will be no battle of Armageddon, as world prophesying ministers will tell you. They will gather in the valley of Megiddo. And the battle would be, they will march towards the set-apart camp of Yahuwah's children. Now, will they be fighting among each other? Yes, there will be some division, because in wickedness, it's divided against itself and it's going to fall. But they're going to meet in Megiddo to go fight the set-apart. So it's going to be two nations, the set-apart nation and wicked nations. And then we will see what is written in Scripture bring these matters to an end as we know it. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, my advice to each of us is to grow to be more disciplined when it comes to focus. I have been using and sharing these verses often. Let these verses culminate, marinate, stir within your spirit. There's a scripture that says, stir up the gift that is within you. That gift is the life that the Almighty Father gives us through Yahusha HaMashiach, his word. But we must focus and not spend much time worried about all the details of what's going to happen to bring about that attack on us more readily than what we see. Let us learn to focus. Let us learn to vet and examine and identify brothers and sisters who demonstrate how to focus on what is expected of us, what we must and will come to do to fulfill the final Exodus, and so much more. To contribute strength to the brothers and sisters who will indeed face physical death for Yahusha's name. To demonstrate strength to the brothers and sisters who realized they were misled by wicked, unlearned, or undiscerning pastors, teachers, mores, or bishops. We will learn how to focus. We will learn and witness the hand of the Almighty Father rise up, working in us, through us, one towards another. Focus, my brothers and sisters. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 20 through 27. This is something I share often, and I am compelled to share it as I gradually come to a close. It says, my son, listen to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Let them not depart from your eyes. Guard them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing to all their flesh. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the sources of life. And this heart is talking about the spirit, the inward man. For out of it comes the sources of life, because our inward man, joined by the word of Yahuwah that comes to us in Yahusha's name, we will see out of it comes the sources of life. Turn away from you a crooked mouth and put perverse lips far from you. So those who are elevating AI, those who think they know about AI and don't have a clue to what's going on, Turn away from such. Don't join in and say, oh, talking about AI as though it's a living being. Inform one another that these are birth pains. These are things that will occur, and understand what they are. But more than anything, understand what we are ordered to do to be focused in improving our worship in obedience to the Almighty Father. It say, put perverse lips far from you. Don't talk about something that we don't have a clue. Let's speak the things that the Almighty Father opened our eyes to. Notice the next thing, say, let your eyes look forward. Your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet. The path of our feet is made possible by every word that comes out of the Almighty Father. For it is He that gives us breath and life, my brothers and sisters. It says, and all your ways are established. Do not turn to the right or left. Turn your foot away from evil. You see, my brothers and sisters, there are those who would like to have us believe that absolutes, saying if you go to the left, you always be right, or you go right, you always be right. Don't establish an absolute rule other than to discern what the Almighty Father is saying and respond and act. Do not be consumed with the rise of AI, my brothers and sisters. Remember, it is a tool of man and not a living entity. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. This was an AI perspective that I was compelled to present before you, my brothers and sisters. The most challenging of things will be the loss of jobs and income, and how we are to physically, from a physical and natural perspective, adapt to that change. So I pray that I brought some degree of comfort. I pray that I brought some degree of urgency to draw closer to one another, for we have many different functions that are necessary for the embodiment of the whole of Yashar'al, the children of Yahuah, consisting of Hebrews and Gentiles grafted together as one, under one banner, Yashar'al. Make no mistake, the 12 tribes will be identified to fulfill Revelation 7 chapter, but once that is fulfilled, all of the set-apart children of Yahuah will be under the banner of Yashar'al, commonly known as Israel. And I'm not talking about some country or fabricated, misguided group. I'm talking about the living, set-apart children of the Almighty Father. I will not spend time doing another post talking about this, for I think time is of the essence. I will entertain questions and only say as much as I know that will aid in pushing you closer to discern the voice of the Almighty Father working in you, working in me, working in us, one towards another. I pray, O Yashar'al, that this message indeed bring some degree of understanding and comfort regarding AI. I want to thank you if you've listened to this from beginning to end. I want to salute your pursuit of set-apartness. And if you're able to make sense of the words that I've said, I pray that the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from the Almighty Father enrich you, and that you have the strength and the fortitude to spread this message, whether it be subscribing, liking, and sharing, whether it reinforces your understanding, whether it confirms or reaffirms. If you found any good that is necessary for the body of Mashiach, the children of Yahuah, remember to share and like. There's a lot of things that will come as a result of that. And I know it's not about me, O Yashar'al. It is about worship and obeying the Almighty Father. Thank you, my brother, my sister, my family. Be encouraged. More than anything, my prayer is for us to readily and quickly grow to discern the living voice of the Spirit of the Almighty Yahuah that comes to us in His word's name, Yahusha. Let the scriptures that were originally written stir life into the text that we see now, that we can identify the tampering versus what is precise in the desires of the Almighty Father as he opened our eyes to what is true. On that note, I say to you, my brother, my sister, my family, and again I say thank you and shalom. Shalom, my brothers, my sisters, my family.